Peace, y'all. It's your boy Will Toms, co-founder, visionary of Rec. And I'm here on the couch, man. We about to get into it.
And we back. Now, I told y'all that we was gonna be joined by a very special guest, somebody that is an honor to be able to sit next to. Doing some amazing things, right? But y'all know I like to skip the introduction and I like them to introduce themselves, but we are joined by Mr. Will Toms of Rec Philly. So,
Peace, yo. It's a pleasure to be here, man.
no, and it's crazy, bro, because like, you know, we've been connecting on social media lately a lot, giving each other our respect, but this is our first time actually sitting down.
Yeah, man.
I feel like there's a lot of power up on the stage right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't know, bro. It's an honor. I feel honored to sit beside you and also be able to, you know, share this space and invite you into my space. So thank you for taking the time to come down.
Nah, it's really a blessing to be here, man. I mean, as I've said before, I got a lot of respect for what you do,
I appreciate
how
that,
you
likewise.
think. So I'm like, yo, I got to be on this joint. Let's get it.
So, because this is my first sit down with you, who is Will Toms?
Yeah, I mean, the simple is, you know, 30-year-old entrepreneur out of Philly. You know, someone who really cares deeply about the intersection of like creativity and culture, but also economics, right?
100%.
And how we can make money getting paid to be who we are.
Yeah.
You know, but behind that whole belief, I'm the co-founder of a company called Rec, Resources for Every Creator, which basically is a space and an agency located in Ninth and Market in Center City. And I think the simplest way to explain it is we're basically like a gym membership, but for creatives.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that, right? And it's, all right, so you said a lot. So there's a lot that I want to unpack, right? One of the first things you said was the economic side of being a creator.
Yes, sir.
How important is it? And then how do people not be able to pin that needle when, like as a creative, I feel like, you know, they always get the short end of the stick.
I think it's super important, you know? I think it's almost everything.
Yeah.
Just because since as long as I can remember, right? Like black people have always created culture. Culture has always moved the world.
We are the culture.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like the fact that that's true and we're running and operating, you know, inside of this multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
Right? But a lot of the reality of the situation is like a lot of the music that our parents came up on, that they played at the family reunions, that they play at the weddings and all that, a lot of those artists died broke. Their families couldn't even bury them.
Talk about it, right?
Right? So it's like we have all this value that we're creating for people every day of their lives, but then when it comes down, push come to shove, we can't even take care of our own, and that's a problem.
Let's talk about IP. Let's swing it there, right? Intellectual property.
Yeah.
So, what? First of all, what is your understanding of it, and can you explain that to the guests that might be watching what it is?
Absolutely. So, intellectual property is basically a fancy way of saying that you own something, right? In this idea of films, dances, songs, right? Books, you're an author, right?
Yes,
the fact that, you know, you put all those words together, boom, that's intellectual property.
Right.
And, you know, usually we think of that when we talk about trademarks,
100%.
right? When we talk about copyright,
100%.
patents for
100%.
inventions. But the important part of IP, right, is if we're gonna be honest, like the way America was built, most people got wealthy because they own property, right? They own their house.
Real estate?
Real estate,
okay,
like home ownership.
Yeah.
So the fact that if we know, all right, cool, most people build their fortunes off of physical property. In 2022, a lot of people are getting wealthy off of intellectual property.
Digital real estate.
Boom. So that's why I get so excited about being in this space, because it's like, for all of us that are creatives in some way, there's a whole revolution happening. One, because we all got access to these.
100%.
So it don't take no label or, you know, big film studio to put us on.
We are the power. Like, it's so crazy, right? Because like, even to your point, I feel like back when we look at the music our family members were playing at the reunions and these artists dying broke, it was a leverage. It's always been a leverage game, right? But it was no leverage in the eyes of the creator, because it's like they was providing the platform.
Right.
They was providing the back end, the marketing budget. But it's like, no, I got my phone, bro.
We got it now.
And I can smack this algorithm organically.
There you go.
And reach worldwide. So it's like, now let's start the discussion of a partnership.
Exactly.
So
and real quick, you had asked, you're like, how come, you know, it's been hard for certain creatives to get it?
Yeah, that's what I swing it back to.
I think the real thing is like, one, I think there's a lot of creatives who wear that mindset of like, I'm just a pure creative, I'm just an artist, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But it's like we get so romantic about creating the art, but then when it comes to like promoting and marketing, we like, that's for somebody else to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, I get it, there's our strengths, but I think sometimes I've seen a lot of people give up on understanding the business because they're intimidated by it.
I was gonna say I promise you, I was gonna ask you, so like, where is that factor that people are scared to get paid what they're worth?
Yeah.
So like how would you, for one, how can you help somebody identify that is fair of understanding the business? And for two, what is something that they can do to get compensated accordingly?
Yeah. So I mean, the first thing as far as like that fear piece, it's like there's a certain level of vulnerability that like every artist understands when they get into their bag of creating.
Yeah.
But we don't typically carry that vulnerability over when it's like, all right, I'm in a business meeting now.
Yeah.
I don't want to look dumb because I don't want to ask the wrong question or things like that.
Right.
And that's just an interpersonal thing we got to work out.
100%,
right?
100%.
We could go and talk about later how important therapy and all that stuff is.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think on the other side of it, it's like once you're ready to learn, I think it's just super important for us to go and be able to learn from people that look like us, who have certain experiences, which is honestly a part of why I wanted to write the book that I wrote.
Yeah.
You know, I know you're an author. I just became an author,
Yeah.
you know, a couple months ago.
So the book is titled Uncommon Sense.
Yeah.
I want to delve into that. I want to know, like, because common sense isn't so common, right?
That's a fact.
But I still need to give me a synopsis of,
Yeah.
like, you know, the gist of the whole concept.
The gist of the book is if you want to get paid to be yourself,
Yeah.
right? How do you actually build a powerful brand, right? Everybody talks about branding and marketing, but
Right.
sometimes we don't really understand what we're saying when we talk about branding.
No, I'm telling, bro, I teach it. So
Right?
I
So you
see
get it?
Yeah.
So I actually break down, what does it look like to build a powerful brand? How do you build an audience of people who believe what you believe?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How do you get clear and understand what exactly is your value proposition?
Yes.
And how do you say it in a sentence?
100%.
Right? So we talk about that, and then we say, all right, once you've built this audience, this community, how do you actually use digital strategy to engage them?
Right, and it's crazy because you said getting clear and then believing
Yes.
what you believe, right?
Yeah.
So people don't understand that you are the brand in a sense.
Yeah.
Like even if your brand becomes bigger than you, it's still built off your values, your beliefs.
100%.
So
It should be.
So I want to swing it because I want to know. So what is
real quick. And
go
then
ahead.
the last thing is once you engage people, then we talk about how do you monetize, how do you
100%.
protect your intellectual property, how do you scale up and build a team,
Okay.
things like that.
So literally everything you just said is everything that I got ironed out. So no, because we're gonna unpack. So let's
do it.
Starting. So before I even swing it forward, I'm gonna swing it to where we at. Let's talk about protecting our intellectual properties.
Yeah.
We talked about trademarks.
Yep.
But what are some other ways that somebody can do that if they don't got the money for a federal trademark or even a state trademark?
Yeah. So I say this, like, one, there's a lot of there's a lot of resources around that can really like lower those expenses.
100%.
For example, I'll just throw one out of there, right? Like there's a whole company called PVLA, Philadelphia Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts. What they do, it's a nonprofit. Their whole thing is we don't want to see artists get taken advantage of. So literally you can hit them up and they will walk you through trademarking processes.
Yeah.
They'll walk you through all these things that we perceive as expensive.
100%.
Because not everything that we perceive as expensive actually is.
It just might take you. You might have to pay with legwork.
Boom. And it's like if you ain't got a lot of money, you probably got a lot of time.
You gotta have a lot of.
So if you got time, go spend the time doing the research, right?
100%.
Because a lot of times, you know, and you've probably heard this, like in Philly, we're so gifted, we're so talented, but the fatal flaw is sometimes you be like, yo, I'm hot, but I ain't got the resources.
Yeah.
But it's like until you get the resources, you gotta be hella resourceful.
For sure.
And I feel like sometimes we don't go all the way to the end of really like getting on Google, doing that legwork. You know?
Because I think that it comes down to people not knowing where to start.
That's it. That's
You know what I mean?
exactly
Because
right.
you know, once you lead somebody with a crumb, they can just
Right.
follow the crumbs to the bread. But it's about making them conscious and aware, like what you just gave them. Like that now somebody has no excuse. It's like I eliminated it. So what I wanted to also ask you was about, because I feel like when you're creative, it's that thin line between price and then passion. Right? And we talked about this briefly behind the scenes of like when we try to figure out like, oh, should I do that? I could, but
Right.
So now I feel like creatives struggle with that, right?
Yeah.
So how can somebody, you know, fiddle with that and not, you know, get too far on a price that they're not even passionate about what they're doing, or get too close to their passion that they moving away from getting what they deserve?
Facts. So like for me, what you're saying right now is so important that literally the first chapter of my book is who are you? So it's like before we start talking about how to make money, how to scale up and do all this cool stuff, it's like let's make sure that like you understand who we are.
Yeah.
Because everything we build in our business should be attached to like who you are and what you care about.
Yeah.
Because if not, you basically just gave yourself a job.
No, seriously.
You feel me?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like you got to really get clear on like, all right, cool. Who am I? What good do I want to share with people? And then making sure that like after that, all the decisions you make are connected
to that who.
To that who, right? And
we
that
always
why.
talk about the why. We always talk about the why, but even knowing who you are would allow you to kind of identify what jobs is for you or not, right?
1,000%.
Because now you're like, all right, I feel like a lot of creatives, we leave money on the table.
Absolutely.
Because we want to do things, right? But then I've seen people also chase money so much that they not even, it's like I'm not even turning my camera on if I'm not getting paid. But it's like,
that's crazy.
Bro, you wanted to be a camera person.
Facts. You're passionate about it.
You're passionate about it.
You love it, right.
That's like where I'm like, that's why I want, like, is it a solution for that? Where like, how can, even if they are, is it the who? Like once they determine who they are, is that the solution?
Yeah. So, all right, there's a lot kind of in there, right? I think the first thing in that, like, people not getting paid what they're worth thing is sometimes it's really important to like do the research on the market. And specifically, you know, I've learned in my experience that like some of us as creatives, especially as Black creatives, we don't be comfortable talking about prices.
Dog, that money conversation.
Right? So it's like, all right, well, I don't want people to be pocket watching, so I ain't gonna say nothing.
Yeah.
But that caps us up because if, let's say me and you both videographers, a big brand might come to me and be like, all right, what's your price? I tell him, and then he come to you and be like, what's your price? And you say, this.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
I see it
all
all the time.
Of a sudden, boom, value goes down to the floor.
I see it all the time.
And people don't think about that,
Yes.
right? But if we just would have open combos and be like, yo, bro, I charge $2,000 for this.
Yeah.
I charge, you know, $7,000 for this.
Yeah.
It just helps because then you don't go in blind.
Yes.
Because it's like when you do the price way down here, you don't even get what you're worth.
Exactly. And you kill the market. And,
Right.
And I think that is worthy of creators coming together and having pricing discussions and saying like, yo, what are we setting the market at? And we can all agree that this is the market, even if you fall slightly below because you're not as good as this person, or you slightly above because you're better. Let's all be honest and vulnerable in this space. You're better, and we can control the market because they can't undercut us.
That's it.
You know, and if they gonna pay low, they're gonna find somebody who's completely inexperienced.
Right. And then they'll get what they paid for, and then they'll realize, dang, I should have just actually paid the real bag.
100%. So I got another question, but before I get to it, we're gonna cut to a quick commercial break. So don't go nowhere. When we come back, we're gonna still be joined by Will Toms. So before we cut to a commercial break, we spoke a lot about the monetization part of, you know, even what your book represents, right? But I want to swing it all the way back to the beginning, right? I asked you, I said, who is Will Toms?
Yeah.
And you gave me a synopsis of what you do, right?
Yeah.
But now I feel like I want to know who is Will Toms. Like I need to know like who you are outside of the creative space.
What you want to know?
Just starting with like, I guess like, when did you discover your purpose?
Yeah. Wow. That's a great question. I discovered my passions way before I discovered my purpose.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So my passions, like art and all of that creative stuff, came just because, like, honestly, the way I was growing up, I'm from Germantown.
Okay.
The way I was growing up, I felt like I needed art, and specifically at the time, like poetry, to kind of just understand what was going on. You know what I mean? Understand myself, my family, expression, all that. And then when I started to like fall in love with poetry, that led me to like visual art, visual storytelling. So I was the cameraman, you know, going around.
Yeah, you was touching cameras?
Since high school.
Okay.
Even before then. But high school, I'm running around doing short films. I'm, you know, doing music videos for the homies. And that led me to be like, yo, all right, cool. I want to stay close to creativity my whole life. So if I want to do that, I have to figure out the business side. So then I was like, oh, the business side is actually kind of lit. I'm watching Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin run around doing their thing as a kid. I'm watching Puff. I'm watching Master P, State Property even. And at that point, I was like, cool, let me figure out the business side. So I went to school. I studied communication. You know, I studied economics for the passion. And I got to a point where I realized that like there was always a big disconnect in the rooms I was in when I was around creatives.
And then when you was around business.
And then when I was around business people.
Talk about it.
And I was like, yo, like I almost feel like I got a code switch based on the room I'm in, right? And that's when I was like, yo, but like there's gotta be people just like me who respect the culture all the way.
The creativity is working at this point.
Right? And exactly, I'm seeing the multiple things at once and I'm like, whoa, this could be it together.
I gotta create I gotta bridge this gap.
Exactly.
So
and that's where I started to find my purpose, because I was like, yo, like the things that come natural to me on the business side are really just avenues for me expressing my creativity.
100%.
But I know that not everyone has that gift. So I'm like, all right, well, how do I help create things that empower people to be able to understand the other side? Even if it's just a means for them to be able to realize all their creative visions.
This is funny, right? You spoke about studying communications in college, right?
Yes, sir.
So you went to IUP?
Yes, sir.
What did you find yourself distracted? Like, what was your college experience like?
I had a lot of fun at IUP, bro. I had a lot of fun at IUP.
Yeah, you found yourself distracted.
I sure did. But I loved it though, man, because IUP for me and college for a lot of people is like the first time you're away from home.
100%.
I took full advantage of that.
Of course.
Right? Like I always tell people, I think I was living like 3 lives at IUP, bro.
So,
and I was doing all of them in excellence. Like I was wilding in excellence, bro. Like, you know.
So listen, from a freedom, because it seemed like you established freedom when you went to college. I do what I want.
It was my first taste of what I thought freedom was.
Ooh, so now, but I still, to that taste of it.
Yep.
Because I don't want to, because, all right, dang, that now it's becoming a two-part question. Yeah. So within that freedom, do you think that it made it harder to focus? Like in terms of like, because you know when you're young, you got these big visions, these big dreams, but do you think that it stalled your plans a little bit?
No, I think it set me up for my plans.
Okay.
And here's why. Because like, all right, when I was at IUP, I was the bull that, like, I loved school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was the kid who was like, yo, I'm in these books. Because when I was growing up, like, I didn't come from a lot. So, like, my grandmother who raised me was always like, yo, education is going to open up every door. Education, education. So I was already like, cool, well, I'm visiting my pop. He booked. After I get back to the crib, I'm like, I ain't trying to be there. I gotta get in these books. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I actually love school. So I'm the bull who was on Dean's List, but I was also throwing parties every weekend. Got you. Right?
Okay, I got you.
And I was also super active in, like, I'm shooting TV shows in the TV department and all that.
Yeah, you utilizing every resource here. Yep. You building your network, and that make a lot of sense.
But then I was also flexing my entrepreneurship in ways I wasn't supposed to at that time.
No, we're gonna talk about it.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I feel like I'm getting what you're putting down, but we're gonna dig into that.
So I'm doing all that, and I think the best thing about college for me was like it helped me understand people.
Okay.
So like the politics of like how the parties work, right? Yeah. Like people walking up to the back of the fraternity house and they like, yo, I'm trying to get in. It's like, nah. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Seeing people like, and you probably seen this, like when you see like a pack of women come up to the door and you be like, all right, you can get in. Nah. And you would think all the girls gonna leave, and then all of a sudden they're like, I'll see you later. Like, so you start to just see like human nature in people. You start to understand like values. You start to see like who has discipline and who doesn't. Yes, you start to see supply and demand. 100%. And for me, my real like understanding of people was in college.
It's crazy, right? Because I feel like people look at college as school, but it's really an experience.
It's a social experience.
It's a social, and I feel like when you go there and you figure that out and you do what you did and you like, oh, I'm going to put my hands and dabble. Yep. I'm going to maximize this experience because this is going to give me the tools I need to operate in the world.
Exactly.
You spoke towards politics.
Yes, sir.
Have you noticed that everything is political? Like,
yes, sir.
Literally. Not even just the politics of what party you're a part of, but literally every single avenue. But you said something about your grandma. You said she told you to stay in the books and education was key.
Yeah.
I would say, would you say it's knowledge now more so than it's education?
I see what you're saying with that. I think education, specifically like, because self-education is a part of that too. Yeah. Not schooling. But education.
Okay, exactly. So when I say knowledge, that's exactly what I'm referring to. Because you know, when we hear the word education, people think, oh, I gotta go to school. It's like, nah, I educated myself outside of everything I've learned. Literally, I probably learned more outside of the classroom than inside of the classroom.
And I think like the basics, the way I think about it is like, to a certain degree, going to high school, like everything up to high school, it don't really teach you as much as it teaches you how to think.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and then what you do with that on top of it is up to you.
Exactly.
You know?
So post college or whatever, in that chapter, you went into Rec Philly when?
So I left school. I was scheduled to graduate in 2013. Yeah. I ended up leaving school like a semester early and just not finishing. So I chilled for a little bit. Not chill, but I had to chill for a little bit. Yeah. And after that, I went right into just building the business.
Why you leave school?
So long story short, I had a full ride throughout all of college.
Yeah.
I was super grateful for that. However, I was like such an overachiever that I took an internship. And the way IUP is set up is like you pay for your internship based off how much time you spend there.
Okay.
Right? You got to pay for the credit hours.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I didn't know that. Yeah. So me being who I am, I got this amazing internship. I'm working at NBC Universal. And I was supposed to do like a 6-credit internship. Right? Yeah. But when I got there, they loved me. So they was like, yo, you can spend as much time here as you want. Yeah. So I'm running it up. I'm running a TV show for them and doing all this. I get back to IUP. They look at my logs and they like, oh, you was there for such and such hours. You owe us another 6 bands.
Oh.
Because you got to pay for that. You got to pay for the credits.
You know what I took it as? I thought you were saying your labor pays for the credits, not you have to pay for it.
At IUP and some other schools, it's like you literally have to pay for every credit you take. The same way you pay for a class, the internship was a class.
That has to be
nutty, bro. It's like, it's nutty.
Yeah, that's wild.
But anyway, so I get to the end of my college career. I'm at like 1 semester left. I'm starting to register classes, and they're like, you got a hold on your account for $6K.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how? Why?
Yeah.
And then they break it all down, and I went to my grandmother. I was like, yo, what we gonna do?
Right.
And she was like, we got to figure this out because we don't got this money.
Cover it out, yeah.
Long story short, I was able to make that bread in about maybe about 8 or 9 days.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes you get too carried away, kept doing whatever you was doing to get that bread, and then because of that, I ended up having to leave school for 3 semesters.
So did they kick you out?
Yeah, I got suspended for 3 semesters.
Am I allowed to be fully transparent here?
Go for it.
Were you selling?
Yeah, I was selling weed.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. Dang, because that's something that people probably wouldn't know about your story. But would you say that it came full circle? Like, would you say that purpose was attached to that? It had to go that way?
Yeah, I think if it went any other way, I would not be sitting here as the man I am today.
I got to unpack that. Before I do, we got to cut to another quick commercial break. Don't go nowhere, because when we come back, we're going to unpack with Will Thompson. So before we cut to a commercial, because it was getting interesting, and I felt like this is the perfect time to kind of segue into our next segment, which is digging deep, right?
Yeah.
And in this segment is like really unpacking, understanding more about Will Thompson, you know, who you are. So you said you felt like it all was a part of the purpose.
Bro, I think everything was just aligned to be what it was supposed to be.
You got to break that down, like.
Yeah, so like, again, where I come from, right? It's like, I grew up in Germantown. You know, I had my pops who got booked when I was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
He been there for the last, 25 years?
So he's still there?
Still there.
Okay, got you.
You know, God willing, he'll be able to have a chance to come home in another 5 years. You feel me? So there's like that. And then I had an uncle who got murdered when he was 16 when I was young. I got other uncles who, you know, did life sentences, passed away in prison. So like, for me, one, I know that experience was attached to my purpose because I was in a place as a young man who didn't even really have that respect for having that relationship to my pop. Yeah. Right? Until I was sitting in the predicament that he had sat in.
And it made you understand him.
So much more, bro. It helped me build so much empathy for his perspective, for it all, right? Because literally, and this is crazy because I had an experience where I'm sitting at CFCF, bro, and like literally the time before I had been there, I was literally talking to young people, young kids, like delinquents, and I'm telling them that they could turn their life around, right? And then the time before that, I was visiting my pops. So for me to be sitting in that cell, bro, was just such a powerfully humbling experience because I'm like, I've been here for a very short amount of time and I know what it feel like. I know how important it is to hear my grandmother's voice, right? Yeah. So then I'm like, dang, I've been here for a week right now, but like my pop been up for 20 plus years. I'm being real irresponsible, not feeling like I got 15 minutes to rap with him. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh, dang. Yeah.
You feel me? Because I was at that point when I was in college, he writing me, nah, I ain't got time to write you. Yeah. He calling me, man,
but you got time for girls and everything.
I got time for everything. Yeah. Everything. So like, I'm really grateful that God gave me that experience because now that's my man, bro. We talk every single week. He put you in a predicament so you can gain insight because he knew what you would do with that experience. Absolutely. And isn't that wild sitting there as the high achiever you was? Absolutely. Looking at it like I'm amongst, like now we are all in this. I'm still ended up here in a sense, right? Bro, you said dig deep, right? The crazy part of the whole scenario is like, I felt like every decision I made in my life up until that point was exactly to not end up in that situation. Yeah, because you spoke about that earlier. Like, I see my pop and I got to go hit these books. You feel me? You in this position. So I get to the point where like, I'm in a financial bind because I'm trying to hit these books. And because of that, I got to do some things to figure it all out. Did it make you understand a lot of what happens with our inner city kids, though? Bro, the empathy was built. It was like, I get it. I understand this system. I understand the trap of it all. Because I'm like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
You know what I
like,
mean?
And that was a part of that. Like, I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do to continue to do what I'm supposed to do. I just I didn't have the resources.
Exactly. I didn't have that. And then, I tried to take a quick shortcut, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it didn't
Because you said
out.
you made $6K in like 9 days.
Like 9 days.
And I know a lot of people gonna want to know like how you did that. So you like trap already.
Yeah,
like,
I ain't gonna go crazy at it, but I was in college. I had a network, and I had to
you utilized it.
made the network.
But you also seen after doing it that it was like, all right, even though it was a part of my purpose, I'm not going ever, and I wouldn't say that somebody should do that, right?
No, yeah, I would absolutely not endorse that for anybody. I think because for real, like jail is not cool. It's not fun. Like there's nothing.
It's the nuttiest thing ever.
It's actually nutty as can be. Like
in your week there, didn't you realize that you do the same thing every day for a week? So you like imagine somebody that's routine to do that for.
Right. And even like go back to me having the skill set and the mindset to be able to make the bread that I made. It's like if I could do it in that manner, it's like I could build anything. And I already had known that I was gonna build businesses and things like that, but like the proof was there.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I feel like too, like I grew up in this like mentality where like I was the student that would slack off and do whatever until the end of the semester. They like, yo,
turn it up.
Yeah, if you don't ace everything, you're not getting an A.
Yeah.
I'm acing everything.
Yeah.
And then I started to be able to get, a little bit older, a little bit more mature, and I realized I didn't need that same pressure to perform.
My back to the wall.
Right.
I can put my back to the wall before I even actually am faced with those circumstances.
Exactly.
Question.
Yep.
Would you say you was raised on love or survival?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think fortunately I had a good balance.
Okay.
Like again, I didn't really come from much bread, but I definitely came from a household of love.
Yeah.
You feel me? And like some of my grandmother's decisions, definitely had survival in them.
Yeah.
Like, I love my grandmother, and like I think she taught me a ton.
Yeah.
But like how money worked was not part of it.
Do you think it was the lack of knowledge for?
Yeah, she didn't understand.
Yeah.
She come from a whole different era. My grandma from the South. Like my whole family's from the South. So like she was the first one to come up to Philly, build our family out. So she wasn't learning about financial literacy. She didn't understand credit. So some of the things that we be talking about in our household, oh, credit's bad.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a lie.
It's a
you know what I'm saying? Like,
lie.
Or even the worst one, like I think a lot of people that look like us, we grow up thinking, oh, anybody who got a lot of money, they did something corrupt to get it.
Yeah, they make us think
That's a
that
lie.
you got to be a crook or you got to be dishonest and all these different things to have wealth. And it's crazy how they created that narrative. And it's like I felt like we was the only community that was struck with that bug.
Straight up.
And I'm not
you
gonna
gotta
say
unlearn that.
Yeah, because everywhere else they understand it, right?
Yep.
And that's something we're gonna talk about in our open discussion. But
and just one more.
Go ahead.
The other thing was like you gotta work hard to make money.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not true
That's
either.
not true. Yeah, you just because that's a part of our open discussion. I won't unpack it, but I want you speak a lot about your dad and your grandma. Your mom.
Yeah.
What's up with your mom? Is she?
Oh, I love my mother. So growing up, my mother battled a drug addiction my entire life. So like I never really grew up with my mom as a mom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My grandmother has really been
that mother to you.
Yeah, so that's why I always kind of highlight them. But that's no disrespect to my mother.
No, not at all. I was just more so I wasn't sure. Like I just wanted to understand like what was that relationship like. But that makes sense. It's like because I always tell people I call it role association, right? So it's like you can get that motherly like love from an auntie, from a godmom, from a grandmom. So it's like that's the role that she played in your life. It really doesn't have to actually come from your biological mother.
Facts.
And people often neglect that love. They're like, no, my mom didn't love me. So it's like, nah, like, but you got that love. So create whatever relationship it looks like. And then if it ever becomes that, that's a bonus. But don't neglect the love that you are receiving. But the second question was going to be in regard to growing up with, it seemed like your family was like in the streets in a sense, right?
Yeah, all the men in my family.
Yeah, the men. Yeah. So I speak so much towards role models, right? So like when we talk about discipline, how were you able to not follow in the footsteps of so many men that was in the sense leading by example, you know?
Straight up, I think it's two things. One, my grandmother.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I had a praying grandmother, just keep it a buck, like, but then beyond that, bro, it's like, I had the role model still because it was like, I was so close to what I didn't want for myself, right? Like, again, like put it in perspective, it's like, yo, like I'm literally growing up and all right, so my grandmother has 4 sons. They all either were murdered at 16 or they spent at least 10 years in prison. So like, I wasn't the kid who was like, I didn't know that was there.
Yeah.
I was going to visit. I was taking those, 7-8 hour drives up to Erie. So like, I understood like
Erie,
what was
PA.
happening. Erie, PA, bro.
Yeah, because I don't want nobody to think we talking about Broad area.
Oh, no. Yeah,
Erie,
right.
PA.
Yeah, I was driving up to Erie.
Hours,
Yeah, so it's like, it was too in front of me.
Yeah.
So I felt like I still had the role models because I was like, all right, I know where I don't want to be.
Yeah.
So cool, I'm gonna go this way. And then my role models became Puff.
Yes.
My role model became Russell Simmons.
The unofficial mentors.
Absolutely.
The people that's mentoring you from a distance that you haven't brushed shoulders with at the time, but you know, like, all right, like this is my representation.
Yep.
It's crazy you even said that because I always tell people it's two ways that you're gonna learn from people. It's gonna be indirectly and directly.
Yeah.
And directly is what I tell you and what I teach you. Indirectly is what I show you. So you had those indirect mentors that was like, okay, I know I don't want this.
Straight
so
up.
whether you tell me it's already an example.
I see it.
I see
You're
it.
showing it. Yep.
And so many kids have that example, but they stray towards it. So just having those discerning characteristics to be able to say, nah, like I still have a choice.
Absolutely.
And be able to do that, I want to commend you for that because not too many people that come from our communities with that type of it's the excuse of, well, my dad did it, my cousin did it, my uncle did it. But you said, nah, I see how y'all doing it, but it's another way. And this is the way I'm gonna go. So I definitely want to commend you for that for sure.
Appreciate that.
While we're here, we digging deep. I gotta get one more question off, right?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about, because I feel like I'm not gonna be able to cover it in the open discussion.
Okay.
Let's talk about what family structure means to you and what that look like.
Yeah, because of how I came up, bro, family structure is everything.
Okay.
Like for me now, like, you know, when I get blessed to have a family, like I'm excited about that. You feel me? Like
So you paint it for me. You're creative, right? So now I need the vision. What does Will Tom's ideal family look like?
Oh yeah, like you know, my intention is to, you know, have a very amazing, beautiful, supportive wife who is on her purpose and in her passion. And with that together, you know, we're creating the best example for our children 100%. To follow. Like, you know, really create that home of love and, you know, leaning into the love instead of the fear.
Yeah, for sure.
But also, you know, just because of the way I'm carrying it, you know, I want to make sure that like my family is set up where we want for nothing.
Yeah,
you know
100%.
what I'm saying? So like I get excited about the problems of like, dang, he don't know nothing about how I came up, so like now he gonna be spoiled. Like that's the type of problems I want.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I found myself saying that to like I be just trying to even whether it's my kid, my niece, my nephew, I'm like, yo, y'all don't even understand like just having certain luxuries, and then y'all don't even utilize it to your advantage.
Right.
That's a problem I see too. Is like you forget like yo, like my uncle is connected or my dad is connected. Let me, I want to start this business. Let me. I actually have the tools. Like I don't have to do X, Y, Z. So that's definitely
love and freedom,
problem.
bro. Just everything will be built on love and freedom. Freedom to do what we want. Freedom to dream as big as they can. You know what I mean? And really put the battery in their back to do that.
I love it. Oh man, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut to another commercial break. And I'm gonna cut it a little early because I wanna add this extra time to the open discussion.
Let's get it.
So don't go nowhere. When we come back, we're gonna have an open discussion with the Wolf and Will Toms. So, first of all, that was you unpacked a lot, and I'm gonna tell you I appreciate you because it allowed me to see you in a different light, right, and gain insight to even respect what you on, like even 10 times more, right? But I feel like even with that alone, I feel like you just attached yourself to every inner city kid that don't know that about you.
That's
we
me.
see this guy.
I am them.
We know you running this multi-million-dollar company, doing amazing things. Like your resume is impeccable. Forbes, 30 under 30, author. You know what I mean? No, fuck that. Throw it all out there, right? Like, keep shooting it. And we never knew that could even be something that somebody of your stature could even encounter, right? So, first of all, I want to say thank you for full transparency. Now we're going to delve into our open discussion. Now with the open discussion, it becomes more back and forth conversational. You can shoot questions at me, I shoot questions at you. We can spar and, you know, give as much insight as we can to the people that's watching, right? So starting off the open discussion, before we got out of digging deep, you started to talk about family structure and freedom. My first question is, what is freedom to you? What does that mean to you?
To me, right now, freedom is the idea that the true desires of my heart, there's nothing between me and realizing them.
Talk about it.
You feel me? And you know, financial freedom, creative freedom, emotional freedom, like all of the things, like really living from a place of like, yo, what's true for my spirit, and not, well, what are they gonna think? Not, I don't want to hurt her feelings. Not, I don't have the bread, better save. No, none of that is going to be a part of the life that I want for myself.
And it's crazy how literally like not being emotionally free can tamper with your creative freedom.
Yes, and not being creatively free
can tamper with your financial.
Exactly.
So when you just said that, it was like literally like you just drew a line that literally, that was crazy. So speaking of creative freedom and staying within that realm, right? how do you feel like, all right, because I'm trying to figure out, I hate when I can't phrase it the way I want, right? So I'll come back to that question because I don't want to waste time, right? Staying in the realm of freedom and financial freedom.
Yeah.
How does that, because would you say you're financially free now?
I'm getting there.
All right, you're getting there, right?
There.
So how does that affect your decision making?
So, I mean, from my lens, right, financial freedom for me will ultimately look like me being able to have enough assets that literally, like, without working at all, I'm earning more money year over year.
Guys, so it's like a development thing. It's like, even though I'm not working, gradually it's still growing.
My entities are operating, so they're doing what they're supposed to. So like down the road, eventually, Rec will be just doing what it does. You know what I'm saying? But then I'll also have real estate investments, and then I'll be a venture capitalist, so my money will earn money by investing in other people. I don't have to touch nothing for that to happen, right? There's no, oh, I can't go and take this trip because I have this thing over here. You know, none of that.
So I feel like we talked a lot and we didn't unpack Rec. So I have to extend.
All right, we can pause and do that a little bit.
I got to, because honestly, I feel like from what I know about Rec Philly, that space, that creative hub, you just called it a gym membership for creative. So now you just tied it in a nutshell, right? And me seeing so many people record their stuff at you. Then you got so many different creatives in there. So like, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what that looks like and how has that been for you, that experience.
So when you walk into Rec, you walk into a space, we got our retail store down in the gallery. But the beautiful part is, once you swipe that member card, I think I got one right here. Once you swipe this member card,
give me one of them.
You know, it's the key to the kingdom. And you swipe that, and then in the back we got 14 private studios, from photography. Thank you. From photography studios to podcast studios to design studios to recording studios. But then also a co-working space, so you can just pull up your laptop, get work done. We have a Live Nation stage, right? Like, I remember the days where, like, I was managing a artist friend trying to beg to get him on a Live Nation show. Now I literally own the only independently owned Live Nation stage in the city, right? It's in our spot. They paid to have access to our spot, right? So there's that. The retail store, like I mentioned. But the other important part to kind of talk about is, like, all of that is what we call the incubator, right? You get access to all the resources in the space, all these educational programming that we're doing to teach entrepreneurship. But then next to that, we also run a creative agency. So we're working business to business with brands like Lyft, Red Bull, Comcast. And when they hire us, they're hiring us to create content, they're hiring us to throw events, they're hiring us to book talent. We literally go right into our incubator and pay our members to help us do that work.
I noticed you say we a lot. How important is it to build a strong and solid team? Man,
I think the best thing I've done as a business person is build the team that I've built.
Talk about it.
I'm extremely proud of the team I've built, man. And it's crazy because at this point there's almost 30 of us. You know what I mean? So I say we because I couldn't have done none of this by myself.
That's like a part of my motto, like just preaching, even just like the whole nature of being a wolf. Like, you know, we traveling, hunting packs. Like, you know, it's about, you know, love, you know, unity and different things like that, and being able to. So being a wolf is a culture, right? So it's like, it's about taking knowledge, tools, and then spreading it down to next generation. So
and I like that because, like, the idea of, like, wolves hunting packs. Our whole philosophy at Rec is independent doesn't mean alone.
Exactly. Independent mean I can do it without you, but that don't mean I want to. That don't mean I should. That don't mean it's right to.
And the healthiest relationships are interdependent.
I've been hearing that word a lot.
Right? I'm good on my path, you good on your path. We could be better together.
Together. We're a movement by ourselves, but we're a force when we're together. And the great words Neo.
There you go. Bars from Neo.
No, but staying in that realm of Rec, because first of all, you just taught me a lot more. Because it's different when you're hearing it from the CEO, the founder, like, versus when you're just reading about Rec. I seen y'all had landed like some type of crazy deal. Am I right? It was some type of headline.
You might have heard some rumblings.
So what? Talk to me.
Yeah, man. So this is interesting. This will probably be one of the first times I talk about this publicly.
Let's do it.
Right. So, you know, for me, when we built Rec, we knew in the early stages that we weren't really just solving a Philly problem. Obviously, creatives in Philly need access to these tools and these resources, education. But the vision has always been, how do we build one of these hubs in 50 cities around the world?
Talk about it.
You feel me? So that way, we build our network online and our community online. At some point, you want to go touch the people.
100%.
And I want people to be able to do that with the confidence of, like, there's going to be like-minded people waiting for me in Miami and in Atlanta and in London and wherever. You know, there's going to be venues waiting for me, studios, all that.
a kid from Germantown.
Yes, sir.
In the 30 years that he's been able to be on Earth, first of all, what you did, it changed the dynamic of the city. You created
Appreciate
a solution.
Thank you.
That literally offers creatives a space that wasn't even respected. I'm talking about, you say you want to be a rapper, your parents like, what?
Right, what's plan B?
What's plan B?
Right.
What are you going to major in, right? And not only did you create a solution, but you created a culture and an environment where these people can come and embrace that creative freedom.
Yes, sir.
And you do it for such an affordable cost. Like,
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know what the membership was, but somebody I knew had a Rec Philly membership, and they was like, yeah, I got access to this, to that, to that. And I'm like, when you said gym membership for creatives, I was like, that's the perfect way to break that down. So, nah, bro, I'm extremely proud of you,
saying
man.
that, bro.
Nah, I'm extremely
and
proud
it's
of you.
needed, bro. And I look at the partnership that we built with them. You know, it's cool for me and my business partner and whatever. But really, it's like all that aside, is good for the people.
100%.
It's good for our culture.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like giving creatives access to the tools is one thing. That's the first step.
Yeah.
But after that, it's everything we've been talking about.
Yes.
It's that access to financial freedom.
Yes.
And getting there by being who we are.
100%.
You
Instead
feel
remaining
me?
true to who you are. And that's what creativity is. That's what it gives you the freedom to do.
Yes, sir.
'Cause let's look at ourselves as two black authors, right?
Yes, sir.
With the freedom of speech.
Yep.
But for me, the way I look at it, before I even unpack the way I even view being a black author and the way it was portrayed to me by a PR that I was going to work with when I first was coming out with my book, looking at it now, it's like it's legacy, right? And it's like,
talk about that.
I can now leave a piece of literature that's going to exist forever.
Yep.
My grandkids can know how I thought. Right.
Love that.
I I don't know my family's history of how my great grandfather thought. Right.
That's facts.
And then let's talk about solutions. It's like having so many conversations in around my relationships, because my book's called Cheating Not Cheating, and it caters to, but it's not even just romantic relationships, because it's really a book about communication and understanding. Right.
That's fire.
And I feel like people just look at the title, they stop there, they see the 4 words, and they're like, oh, I'm not reading that. But it really teaches you how to communicate, but also understand and be understood. Right.
Yeah.
And I can't be in a million places at once.
Nope.
But my book can.
Yes, sir.
So it's like I create a product once that can reach millions. So that was my whole thing of becoming an author. So like, what would you say some of the reasons for you was like, all right, you know what? Uncommon sense has to exist.
Super similar to you, bro.
Okay.
Like for the last, let's say 7-8 years, I've had the opportunity to work really closely with creatives. And this is creatives in every different field, from hip hop artists to videographers to managers, etc. And I realized that, like, no matter how far in the industry they were, we all needed to understand the same basic concepts.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
For
exactly.
everybody.
Exactly.
And then what started to happen was I just found myself keep having the same conversations
over and over and over.
Yep. So it's basically like, all right, to scale up my own time, I'm gonna start documenting these combos.
Yes.
I'm gonna write down this idea, I'm gonna write down this one, and then eventually I was like, yo, this is it right here.
Here it goes.
So,
the book is done.
Right? And I could just be like, oh, you wanna talk about branding? Actually read this and then we'll talk. Cause it's like, yo, I can't keep saying the same thing 4 times a day.
Yo, listen, talk
And
about
that's how
it.
it came together.
And
you know?
like, bro, I swear, like you literally just broke everything down in a nutshell. And I felt like I always tell people, like, my book is the solution to common relationship problems.
Yeah.
I can't say it addresses your specific needs, but in a nutshell, if you need a rubric to follow, here's the answers. Here's something that I've been hearing over and over and over again. Because even when we think about certain things, right, problems exist, they're subjective in their perspective, right? What's a problem
100%.
to you may not be a problem to somebody else, right?
100%.
So the way I look at it, like, all right, if I can create the conversation and use a universal example, you can apply it to what makes sense to you.
Yeah.
So when I say communication, understanding, it's like, I talk about pride and ego in this book, right? But that don't just identify in relationships.
Right.
It's business opportunities that don't get done because of pride and ego.
A1.
If I can help you understand where your pride and your ego is becoming an anchor to your relationship, your success, your mindset, your well-being, if you can just turn that switch, you become a whole better man. I had people say
everything
that.
is connected.
Everything.
You know what I mean?
Everything, because there's universal principles when we talk about it, right? So respect is respect. It just looks different. How you respect your relationship is different than how you respect your business partner.
Right.
But it's still respect itself. But no, let's stay in that realm. So what I was gonna say was, when I first went to write my book, they was like, don't put your face on it. People don't want to see black men write books. They said,
That's why you should do it.
here we go. Another thing was black authors don't sell. They behind everybody.
Wow.
Another thing was it was 3 things, but them was the 2, and I'm just like, oh, all right, so I'm definitely gonna put my face on this. Oh, they don't do that?
Right.
I'm definitely gonna do that. So and like I said, for me it was just about legacy. So I think that is dope. First of all, can we get the books? Can we get the books?
Oh yeah, let's definitely.
Yeah, because I want, we we was gonna do an official exchange, bro.
Facts,
so,
bro.
Naeem Wolf Dingle, author
Let's
of
go.
Cheating Not Cheating.
Here we go. William Tyrone Thomas.
Yeah, man.
Uncommon Sense.
Oh man, so this is what we got, man. We got black authors, and we got literature, and we got legacy right here. And the reason this is important is because they always say if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in a book, right? So we became the authors because the people who lead and who are being led by us are going to go where we tell them. And if we leave this information behind, it could be able to reach people for the rest of the time. So,
facts, bro.
You know what I mean? And that's no pun intended. And it looked like my boy got the workbook style where he's actually giving you.
So you learn it, but then it's going to ask you the question. You applying it right over it. Yeah, I had to sign it for you, bro. Come on.
Oh, man, you was prepared.
I had to do that.
I got to sign it.
Yeah, I'm going to get you to sign it.
Yeah, man, I got to sign it, dog.
But it's a workbook, bro. So it's like as you go through it, you literally applying the things. Because I know that's how I learn best. Yeah. So it's like, let's just make it as, as what we need it to be as possible.
And I told myself I was going to do that with Cheating Not Cheating. I said, I need to come out with a workbook. No, seriously, I should come out. Even a course, because I'm like, people need to learn how to apply these tools.
Even a journal, bro. Like
a journal, but all right, so that was that. I wanted to talk about freedom, and we got to be able to talk about rec, because I'm glad, because like I said, I learned something. But just staying in the space of this open discussion, do you have anything that you want to ask me or any questions you want to shoot at me from my perspective?
Yeah, so look, I'll start here. I think one of the most powerful things I think about your platform is you address relationships in such an open and honest way that I think a lot of people like just are afraid to even touch on.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And obviously it shows that you're a thinker.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Since you wrote this book and put it out to the people, I'm sure you got feedback and all that.
Yeah.
What have you learned about yourself in this process?
What I learned about myself is that although I authored the book, which I felt like it was really just authored, I wrote it, but God empowered me to, or whatever. I felt like, for one, I don't call myself an expert. I literally do stay a student. And I realized that the things that you think, because I'm capable of talking about these things and being able to identify what they are, application is the next step after getting the information, right? Yeah, so it's constantly, I'm learning that, oh shit, like I constantly gotta apply these things. But the biggest thing was, so many people haven't even got to halfway of where I'm at, right? So I'm going into situations emotionally intelligent, ready to the point where everybody feels like a project. Every woman I date felt like, because I'm trying to bring them up.
You feel like you know too much now.
You're
oh, man, here go this again.
So it's like I gotta almost straddle the fence of not trying to almost become somebody's therapist in every conversation. So what I learned was like, dang, like you gotta still meet people where they at. 100%. So you can go all the way to college, but if you come to talk to a kindergartner, you best be prepared to, you know what I mean? Another thing I learned was relationships is easy to talk about, but they're not easy.
Oh, right. You still got to put the work in.
So you still got to put the work in. So I learned that as well about myself because when I wrote the book, I was single. Got into a relationship after writing and was like, oh shit, this is, so it made me more empathize more with people's
real
process.
Quick, just to joke a little bit, your girl's probably like, her peoples was like, so you dating a boy who put out the book Cheating Is Not Cheating?
Yeah.
That's your man?
Yeah. It's crazy because, and I'm not in that relationship anymore, but that used to, depending, it can get real judgy. So one time I remember speaking at on
you can't judge a book by its cover. Come on, let them know.
And that's the purpose of it. Right. I'm like, so you're gonna let 4 words stop you from getting 200 valuable pages of information? That says more about you. Because you stopping at the door. You assume you ain't even come in before you develop perspective. But I think that what I learned, even as an author, I felt like being patient with my next development or my next project. It took me a month to write that, literally.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I locked in. That's Corona.
Love. Yeah.
So COVID, what else did it do?
You had that focus.
Had that focus. We got to get into that.
Right?
But now I'm I got 2 books that's halfway done. Yeah. Don't know if I want to go left or right with them. And they both at 50%.
Oh, wow.
Like I can send you 6 or 7 chapters that's done.
Of each one.
Wow. And I'm like, dang, God, which way? Because this one helps the inner city, the hood. But this one is relationship. This help men. Yeah. This is for the man who needs to be better. This is this is what we never had. So
you got to do the one that's heaviest on your heart, though. Like whatever one's on your spirit, because I feel like they always come off the best. Like when it's really for you.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. So I felt like that was a great question because honestly, I feel like I can't even put it in a nutshell what I learned, bro. I just felt like it was so much that I've learned since becoming an author. Yeah. But it just made me feel like I cemented myself. Yeah. And this is history.
Yes, sir. Because the reason I asked you that, bro, is like one of the things I'm learning about myself is. And really just about life is like what people don't really think about is like the things you decide to work on, they also work on you. right? So like there's something,
It's a bar.
right? There's something important about doing hard things, because
Yeah.
like to do something incredibly difficult, it doesn't allow you to stay who you are
100%.
to get it done.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Because
So
you got to
like,
stretch yourself to those
you
limits.
have to.
Yeah,
So if you
yeah.
never stretch yourself, you never could grow. So I'm learning that myself. So it's like, whether that's the discipline it takes to stay working out, or whether that's to focus on writing a book, like a lot of times we see the end product of stuff, but like really the real win was, dang, you had the discipline to take the journey to write a whole book, publish it, not care,
then market it, then
all that.
Because it's like writing it is one part, publishing is another part, marketing it. But to your point, right? It's crazy because you know, but I'm glad you just broke that down. What it taught me was, I'm capable.
Yeah, that's dope.
Because I hadn't had that project that I completed. I'm gonna be real. I was known for the genius that had a bunch of 80% ideas, right?
I feel that.
And then this was like, nah, this was 100% completed. I saw it all the way through.
Yep.
I have nothing, but my rap career was it was a long drawn out process, but I still stopped after a while.
Sure.
I had filmed before getting into the Wolf Network that I stopped.
Okay.
I had a hair salon that I owned.
You got it done.
This was something that was like, nah, like this has a start and an end. And so that's what I learned, that I'm capable, bro. So when you just broke down that, it literally tied it to me and the light bulb went off. That's what I learned. So staying in that, you had said something that was freaking relatively important, and I can't remember, but I had a question for you, but
it's all love.
It'll come back. This is an open discussion, so I won't harbor too much on that or whatever. So
wait, hold on, but let me flip it though, because you asked me what freedom meant to me. What does freedom mean to you?
I would have to say because it's a luxury. The luxury of being able to own my life, right? And it goes. And when I say that, it means like
owning your time.
Owning my time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Because it's like, even if I gotta work for the money in a sense of taking on a client to be able to, I still selling my time, right?
Right.
I'm not really free to decide on what I want to do. So it literally ties to the three fundamental principles you said: the emotional freedom, the creative freedom, and the financial freedom. Gotcha. And I've never heard somebody identify it in those three things, but that's literally what freedom means to me.
That's the three.
And I'm a wolf, right? So a wolf can't be tamed. So I always say a lion and a tiger might be stronger, but you'll never see a wolf a part of the circus. And it just won't happen. So for me, I noticed that even in adventure, even in endeavors, I need creative freedom. Like if you want to partner up with me, bro, I'm all for it. All right, I was talking about freedom, right? And I'm gonna be honest, like I can't even say I held that thought, but it doesn't even matter because I feel like I've said enough in that regard, right? But now let's talk about the from a creative space of just like we were talking Offset about just ideas and how they are endless, and you know you were speaking a lot about you were just speaking in regards to
the scarcity
and abundance mindset. Let's go to that.
I'll break that down. So like early in my career, right, I felt like, oh, I got this diamond of an idea. I gotta protect it. I gotta hold it like this. Can't tell nobody what's gonna happen, this and that. But then over time I realized that like I was really hurting myself, because it was like, all right, well, if I have this idea that I'm afraid to share with anybody because I think they're gonna steal it.
You're hoarding it.
Yeah, and that also means that the universe can't help me.
Because you're hoarding it.
Exactly. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And literally the first time that I finally had the courage to share somebody like not even a full vision, but like the next couple moves, God literally gave me a resource through them. That if I never would have had the courage to share, I
would have never had that resource.
So
we always like that.
It was a confidence thing. It's like we be so in scarcity mindset that we be like, oh, this person stole my idea, they did this, but it's like really anytime you say somebody stole your idea, what you're admitting is that you just got out executed.
100%. And that's
okay.
And it's crazy, right? To your point, because I feel like me being a creator, me considering a genius, right? You feel like we got these genius ideas, these genius thoughts, we innovative. We coming up with things before they hit the market. We wonder, like, why, like you said, why didn't this person come up with it? And now it's because something that we create. And then somebody, you say it or somebody run off with it. I used to be like, dang, like, it was a credit thing. Like, well, damn, like, you know, I helped you with this. You know, I did. I had to realize, I said, I don't even care about the credit no more, because we talked about it coming back full circle. And then another thing is one of the things where now I ask myself, would I even execute this? So if I come up with an idea right now that helps creatives, right? I go through the whole entire timeline of what this looks like, because I'm an executor. So it's like, I ain't gonna execute this. I'm gonna give it to somebody that is.
And that makes sense.
And if you're a good person, you're going to find, and even if you don't, the universe, God will bring it back to me. So I literally arrived at that just recently where I've been helping so many creatives with marketing, and I do this for a living at the same time, but I've been doing it just as a giving too. Like, I do it for a living and a giving. You might call me, like, yo, Wolf, what you think about this? No, well, I think you should do X, Y, Z. I ain't looking to have my name attached to that. This is for you. Right. And, you know, that's just how I grew.
Look, and when you, like, give from a generous spirit like that, bro, like, it can't not come back to you.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And I think for me, I was saying off camera, like, one of the reasons that I'm so confident in what I'm building with Rec is, like, I really know that I did the internal work to figure out who am I, what do I care about, like, who am I, right? Who are you? And I know that I'm the best person in the world to build a business on. So it's like, yeah, somebody could do a copycat model and this and that, but it's like, it ain't gonna be what me and my team was doing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think there's space for everybody. So I think it's important to just, again, lean on that self-awareness, so then that way it's like, I'm so tapped into just like me that I know that this is just one of an infinite amount of ideas.
Question. So another thing we talked about briefly, when I don't know if we went into on camera, off camera, talked about a team, but what type of leader would you consider yourself?
Man, I like the visionary title because I do think it describes kind of like what my leadership style is.
Okay.
You know, I'm not the micromanaging type leader. That's just not who I am, right? I even tell, you know, people right off rip, like, if you want to get to me, DM or text me, because I'm probably going to answer that quicker than an email.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? That's just who I am, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I know myself so well that I've been able to, you know, fortunately have a business partner that compliments me in that.
Yeah.
He's the bull that every day is trying to get to inbox 0.
Yeah.
That's not me. I'm going to let that go. So for me, I'm the leader who's like, all right, y'all, this is where we're going. Yeah. Right? And I see not based off where we're at right now, but what ultimately this should look like, what it should feel like.
The finished product.
Yeah. And not even the finished product and like, here are all the features, but this is what it should feel like. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So for me, it's like if we was driving a bus, my role is, where is the bus going and what should it feel like when we get there? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Not
necessarily each turn that it might make. Or...
Right. And then I have a business partner who's like, okay, cool. How do we make sure there's enough gas in the bus to get there? And what are the exact directions? Yeah. Right?
100%.
But then there's a whole nother person in our organization whose job it is to make sure everyone that should be on the bus is on the bus and the people on the bus are in the right seats.
That's fire. That's fire.
So you have to understand like what is your leadership style and what is not yours 100%. So you can complement yourself with other people.
So that's when we start getting into the realm of strengths and weaknesses, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's the key to building the team. Empowering your strengths and employing your weaknesses, right? Finding somebody who's strong in the areas in which you're weak and working with that person, right? And being okay with that and like being able to admire the greatness in somebody doing the things you can't do, right? So like me, when I was a rapper, right? It was always easier for me to admire singers. It wasn't hard for me to admire rappers, but I could admire singers because I can't do it. They be like, why you always putting singers on your song? Because this is something I can't bring to the song. Like Eureka might have something, a hot rapper might be a good collab, but this person brings something that I cannot do if I tried in my best. So when I partner up with people, even looking at my network, right? I went and got with some creatives that I respect, right? And now I've developed trust for these creators because now we're developing that camaraderie and that chemistry. But it's like I know they bring something that I don't. Right, so we don't worry about position battle because you're the head of this, you're the head of that. Everybody's running their own department.
You're not even the mindset of sitting in the same seat.
And so I literally know I can't be you. So you're valuable to me, right? And I think that for me as a leader, I like to be. So it's crazy because I feel like as you grow, you learn different ways to lead. I can lead out in front, where it's like if we talking about pulling, I'm pulling out in the front. Or I can lead from behind where I'm just like, all right, okay, this is how things should be, and now I'm learning how to.
But the best leaders, when they really get down to the fire, they take the seat that needs to be filled.
And that's, I guess, in a nutshell, that's how I break it down because that's where reading the room comes into play. And it's like, you know what? I know when I need to be led. I know when I need to be lead. And I know when I need to be speaking. I know when I need to be listening. I know, and I feel like all of that compiled together is like the type of leader I am. I don't think I have that one. Isolated style, but I do know what type of leader I think that I'm not, and I think for me, it's definitely not the micromanaging person. Like, I'm not really, because like my organization is something that I work on, so it's like me trying to, I kind of
build systems and this and that.
I'm not the system guy. I'm like, okay, who can create a system? I know and another thing I'm good at too, identifying people's strengths, and I feel like that makes a good.
Honestly, that's probably one of the best leadership traits. Like,
you think so?
I feel like this, bro. I feel like if you want to build wealth, you have to understand people. And if that's natural to you,
Did you take psychology?
Absolutely.
Me too. Because
love it.
I can always tell when I'm what's your sign?
I'm a Virgo.
Virgo. Wow.
Yeah.
Like my cameraman and my.
They tell me I'm a pretty true Virgo too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Virgo
so-
gang, we out here.
Yeah, that's what's up. Shout out to the Virgos, man. Y'all seem to be visionaries. Every Virgo I'm starting to meet, I feel like y'all got that vision or whatever.
And I'll tell you this, because I like what you said a couple minutes ago, just about that idea of like you gotta understand what seat you gotta fill and things like that. Because like I had even had that moment recently. Because like for me, you know, I'm a good communicator. You know, I'm articulate and all that. But I'm not the kind of person who like naturally just wants to be in the spotlight. I'm actually very comfortable behind the scenes. But I realized that our business got to a certain point where it was like, yo, bro, you think you're being humble by not being out front, but you're actually hiding.
Ooh.
Right? And if you want the business to get to the level that you know it's capable to get to, you need to be out front. Because I'm building a cultural business.
And you are the culture. And
right?
you look like the culture that you're trying to build.
Right. So me hiding is not doing nobody a service.
Yeah,
it's actually the opposite.
disservice. Exactly. Yo, that make a lot of sense. And I think naturally that's why I am the brand. Like you're going to see. And it's like one of the things where I've never put it in a word like that, but I tried to be in the back. I tried to say, you know, I'm gonna stand off to the side, but I feel like my presence is too powerful, and people need to hear what I got to say. People need to see what I'm up to, and God empowered me with these gifts. I'm not hiding for I'm not tucking my tail for nobody. You know what I mean? That's what I think for you to acknowledge that at this stage and where it was about to happen,
so important. Bro.
It had to happen right now.
And look, and I also put it this way too. I was talking to a young creative the other day, and I was like, yo, one of the dopest things that I've done recently is just unapologetically just be myself. Because when you're younger, like you feel like you gotta fit, you gotta bend yourself to fit in boxes in certain rooms.
Subconsciously.
Right? Subconsciously. But then eventually what happens is like you be spending so much time trying to bend into other shapes that the people who actually are for you will never be able to find you.
Dog, talk about it, because it's like you gotta come. It's like you stand for a cause. You gotta stand in front of that cause. How you gonna say I want the people to rally together behind this?
But they don't even know who you are and what that is for you,
or even what it means to you, because you're not even attaching yourself to it. You're too busy worried about what these people gonna think about you once you attach yourself. And I'm not gonna lie, right? Even when let's look at my platform, right? I restrain from cursing. Now, granted, I got a very advanced vocabulary. So I don't have to do cuss words, right? But I'm very raw.
And you have a pretty adult audience, like in a certain regard.
100%. No, it is adult.
Right?
Like, if I think about my demographic, it's extremely adult. I have one of them. Literally, my age group is my audience, and maybe a little younger. But I don't have a kid audience. It's not my content, not for them. Right. But raw me be wanting to say certain shit, like with a certain. But somehow, some way, I find myself when I get on my phone, I find a better way to say it. Now, it's a gift, but at the same time, if I want to reach certain people,
you gotta say it.
Because if you're my close friends, you're gonna hear the full. That filter comes off. So to your point, it's like like when I leave here, like that's the energy I'm carrying. So post this after this discussion on things, you're like, you know what? Fuck that. Like you either gonna fuck with me or you're not. And I'm gonna keep using the word fuck because I want them to understand that this is a platform that I'm creating where I got the freedom to do that, and I don't have to worry about censorship.
And that's the power of ownership.
But
you feel me?
Way to plug it. But listen, before I let you go, because I know that you know you're a busy person. I want to continuously give you your flowers, bro. It's an honor to be able to again share the space with you. It's an honor to be able to meet you. I'm proud of you as a man, right? But at the same time, I admire you as a creative, as a businessman, as a leader, and continue to be that beacon of light and continue to set that example. Own your truth. The things you shared with us, bro. I don't know if it was a part of your brand story or your mission, but I feel like moving forward, it culturally connects you in a way that I feel like we wouldn't even have understood if you never said it out loud. You know, because for me, being somebody with that type of background, I never even knew we could connect in that way, right? So I want to say that, and then I see your vision. I believe in it, and what you're doing is amazing. I feel like Philly right now is running the world, and I feel like you're one of the pioneers of that. As I feel about the things that I'm able to do, so just to be able to connect at this level, bro, right before we break big, I just think it's huge, and I feel like we're gonna revisit this discussion. So I just want to let you know I'm giving you your flowers, and just continue to do what you're doing.
Receive that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man. What else did I want to say before I let Mr. Will Times go? Yeah, man, just keep being great, dog. Nah, seriously, man. Oh, this is what I want to say. And I want to say this on candid camera. The things that you have done, because they are so they are admirable to me, I want to learn from you. Teach me as a creative how I can get what I'm worth. I'm a millionaire waiting on my checks to clear.
For sure.
Teach me. Teach me. So that's what I want to say. So we're going to cut to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to get into the Ask Wolf segment. But I just want to take this time to give a round of applause, and we need a live studio audience. Don't go nowhere. When y'all come back, we're gonna get into the Ask Wolf.
What makes a woman submissive, and why do some women find it hard to be that way?
I think submission of any sort is a choice, right? So I think a woman, to become submissive, she would have to make a conscious decision to be submissive. I think that it's now became a negative connotation and narrative associated and a stigma associated with submitting. And I think that's why a lot of women tend to stray away from it, because they view it as a weakness as opposed to a strength. And they view it as relinquishing all of your power and independency of choice to be able to, do in freedom, in a sense, right? So I think that that's why a lot of women refrain from submitting. But speaking to submission in itself, I think that everybody has to submit in certain predicaments. And it's very essential for women to know how to submit, because just because you're submitting doesn't mean that you are giving up your power. You can also lead. I feel like the man leads out in front, the woman leads from behind, right? So with that being the case, it's like it allows you to understand that this is my role. So it's submitting to who you are in the relationship. It's not necessarily bowing down to a person. It's saying that I'm going to trust you to make the financial decisions. I'm going to trust you to make these decisions for our safety and our well-being. I'm going to trust you to lead and guide and protect this family. But because I have the independency to be able to improve these decisions, I'm going to give suggestions while still backing whatever decision that you make. So that's kind of what submission should identify as, being able to empower your man through his decision making by still being an asset to those decisions, but not feeling like because you have the freedom to say things that you should and make the final decision, you should do this. Not to say that you're not capable, but it's saying, okay, I'm going to let him assume this role and I'm going to assume that role. But both roles are equally as powerful and equally as needed. And before I forget, right, another reason women find it hard to submit, because a lot of them was led astray by men who wasn't great leaders, right? So it makes them the second time around more hesitant and, in a nutshell, scared to relinquish that decision making and all of these different things, because they've seen somebody take that and abuse it, right? So I think that it just comes down to having discernment and not allowing your past to control you, but using it to empower you so you can become wise. So take that as opposed to saying, I'm not going to submit because men, or you have to show me this. No, come into it understanding how to recognize the things that you didn't know before when you were naive, and then use that to empower yourself through the form of submission. So you know that you're submitting for the right reasons, and you know you're coming from a place of wisdom. And if it doesn't look right, then you know that it wasn't right. The wolf has spoken. What's going on is the Wolf, and I want to take this time to say thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of The Couch. If you made it this far, that means you have successfully completed No, I'm joking. But if you made it this far, that means you got a lot of valuable information and knowledge to be able to take with you, and I hope you learned something, right? So y'all know what it is that I want y'all to do. I want y'all to do 3 things. I want y'all to like, comment, and subscribe. But I don't want you to just leave a little fire emoji or a little thumbs up. No, I want y'all to actually engage. If it was something that we covered that you feel like you learned from us, let us know in the comments. If it was something that you felt like we should have went more deeper into, let us know in the comments, because we want to make sure that we giving y'all as much value as we can on a week-to-week basis. So remember to follow us on Instagram at wolfnetwork.wse. Follow us on TikTok at wolfnetworkwse. And then, just continue to follow the network. Let's get it, man. The Wolf has spoken.